Build a Website in Joomla, presented by Firelight Web Studio in cooperation with the Women's E-Commerce Association International. Joomla is a dynamic site structure. This means it's not like plain HTML sites that had to be created on your computer and then uploaded every time there was a change. Joomla is software that lives in the hosting space. It has both site files, like the old HTML site had, and it has a database. The database is like an electronic container where the bits of the site that are unique to your site are stored. Dynamic sites can interact with people. They can make changes based on user input from the site user. For example, search functions. They can return instant data based on user input. That doesn't always mean that the site visitor will see this kind of function. You can make a plain, simple website out of a dynamic site structure also. Sometimes these functions are only used so that the site owner can do things to their site, but it can also be used to create useful functions for your site visitors. Most dynamic websites have an admin area. It looks something like this in Joomla, with different options across the top for things that you can do. The admin area is a special place where you as the site owner can log in and make changes to your site. It means that your website can behave similarly to a site builder, except with more control over what you can do. Most of the time, making changes is a lot like using a word processor, although the web has a few peculiar rules that word processors don't have, mostly having to do with how you format things, what kinds of fonts you can use, and how to avoid problems from copying and pasting from the wrong sources. You'll notice we have a toolbar here with some familiar looking tools, such as bold, italic, bullet lists, numbered lists, and alignment functions. Text is entered into the box here. Special buttons are available down here that allow us additional functions which are particular to the system that we're using. Another row of buttons up here allow us to save our work or preview it. One of the great things about building your site in a dynamic system is that you can move things around within the site without affecting the site appearance and styles. The design is controlled in one place, and the content is controlled someplace else. So I can replace a template, and it won't affect anything else in the site. These rules apply to all dynamic site structures, including things like WordPress, PHP-BB, Zencart, or other systems. This kind of system has to be managed long term. Since it's software, sometimes security issues develop or new versions are released, and those should be installed. Backups are pretty important too, since the site lives completely in the hosting account. So many companies charge a maintenance fee for this kind of site, but it's usually fairly low. Joomla is open source software. That means anyone can look at the code. This means that the bad guys can look at it trying to spot security holes. It also means the good guys can look at it and find those holes too. And coders across the world do just that. They report problems back to the Joomla team when they find problems. Joomla is very well supported. It has a developer team that's very active and which responds each time a hole is found. It has an active user community too, which reports problems back to the team. Those are two important things you want your site software to have. Joomla is now the most popular full content management system in the world. It's used by millions of websites across the world. There's a reason it's so popular, and that's because it's so very flexible. You can build a simple 5-page website in it very fast. If you want, you can build a mega website with hundreds of pages. You can have a newsletter manager. You can have a forum or a blog built right into the site. You can have automatic news updates, like in the sidebar of this site. You can create a directory that operates similarly to the way this one does, with categories, subcategories, and individual listings. You can have membership management, where your members have to log in order to get access to special content. You can put in social networking features with profiles and interactive functions which allow members to communicate with one another. You can even include a shopping cart. These items can be in individual sites, or they can all be combined into the same site. You can even start with a 5-page website and turn it into a mega site one feature at a time. Joomla not only works well for large or small sites, it also grows easily when you need to change it. The most common criticism we hear of Joomla is that it's hard to learn. We hear this primarily from people who do not have help learning it. All of these menus can seem confusing at first. All of the functions and where you go to change certain things can be a little disorienting at first. We do hear this primarily from people who don't have help learning it and who have no one to help answer their questions. In fact, we have clients who use WordPress and clients who use Joomla, and we find that for sites that are more than just a blog, Joomla is not more complicated than WordPress, although it does do much more, and you have easier control over certain parts of the site. Like all things with power, it takes some time to learn how to use the power. You can learn it in layers, though, so you don't have to learn everything all at once and feel lost and confused. You can learn one piece at a time, starting with learning how to change a single article. Good help is invaluable and can mean the difference between frustration and a smooth learning process. We have more than 150 websites on our server that are using Joomla, and the site owners are able to make changes to their own sites. They just ask us for help if they get confused. Joomla is a great choice for a growing business, especially if you need flexibility to have your website help make your business more efficient.